like to thank everyone for joining us. I'm Wendy Sue Johnson, and I'm here again with Colleen Bates, who spent some time talking with Jack Kaiser the other day about the biennial budget that's been recently introduced. We are here in late March of 2015, and last time you outlined some of the concerns that from the county board perspective, and we're going to expand on some of those concerns today. Colleen, could you tell us about your experience as a county board member?
Surely, I'd be glad to do that. I'm going to sort of take off from where we stopped last time. And perhaps the most recent thing that has changed has been that there's been some budget hearings held in the state. I had the opportunity yesterday to go to Rice Lake to attend one of those hearings. And in some respects, it's always a great chance to be able to get some real sense of where the public is. We talked about the ADRCs and the possibility of privatizing a whole system and changing the IRIS program the last time that we had a conversation. The individuals that had come to this gathering yesterday, this hearing yesterday, I would say at least 60%, 65% of the folks that were there spoke against changing the system as it currently exists. Great concerns about losing personal caregivers with whom they have good and personal relationships with, and big concerns about cost factors, and concerns about whether or not there would be any oversight on the part of local committees or local government to determine the effectiveness of the programs. Another concern is placing all of this, especially the private sector umbrella that they're talking about that would be statewide, under the Office of the Insurance Commissioner. So many concerns about the people that were there, and it was impressive to see the number of folks who took time to bring family members and to tell their story. And obviously, this will have a significant impact.
You mentioned that the Aging and Disability Resource Center and the IRIS program were opposed by more than half of the people who spoke at these budget hearings. Was there any individuals or groups that were in support of the change in the budget?
Thank you for that question, because basically there was only one very small group of 3 individuals who came together to speak in support of privatization of the family care program. And those individuals were out of United Healthcare. They tried to give assurances that they would be able to take on this whole state task, but there was significant skepticism on the part of the folks that were there. And perhaps that goes back to what we see, all of us, in what's happened to our for-profit healthcare system, and recognizing that really and truly that hasn't always been the most effective, and it hasn't always been, isn't, certainly anything that one could consider economical. It's a very high-cost system that isn't sustainable over time.
You had shared with me earlier a specific concern that you experienced during your time as a county board member of a change from a local healthcare institution to a privately managed institution. Can you share that concern?
Yes, I think I can. First of all, just give a little story here in regard to a call that I had yesterday, and had a conversation with an individual by the name of Sandra Boyle. And she said I could use her name. And her concern was basically what happened to her when her mother was in the final phases of Alzheimer's disease. Up until the time that she had reached that point, she had good and consistent care. When the time came for her to be in her final phases of her life, her personal funds ran out. She was in a place where basically they had put limits on the number of Medicaid patients that they would take. And she was asked to leave. The family was asked to move her. They filed a lawsuit. They went through a grievance procedure. Interestingly enough, the ADRC helped them to do that. And the last 4 or 5 months of her life, that family was embroiled in just trying to keep her mother in a place where she was safe and cared for and knew. And it turned out that she was able to stay there, but it was a constant turmoil for the family. And that decision wasn't made until actually only a matter of weeks before she died.
Thank you for sharing that personal story. You had mentioned earlier that one of your other concerns with the loss of the local ADRCs is a general move in this budget and by the current governor to reduce local control. Can you tell me some examples that you're concerned besides the ADRC?
I think again, yesterday at the hearings, that obviously is other people's concerns as well. They have great concerns about what's happening with the DNR and the fact that that body that has been an oversight body for our environmental concerns in our state for a very long time, they want to make it advisory only, and so it would have no authority. That's a huge concern. And I think the same thing with the Stewardship Fund. Less money for the Stewardship Fund, less public involvement, less public involvement in decision making in mining, and the fact that local zoning, they would like to have it all done on a state level, and we keep telling them we need to. It's happening here. We need to have input and decision making abilities here, where it is happening. So those are just a few examples where that's occurring.
And so certainly the opposite argument is that by moving oversight to the state level, to the administration, that there would be efficiencies in costs and efficiencies in rules. What concerns you about the move from local control to a state level oversight?
I think democracy is all about people input. It's really how people want to see their government run. That's what it's all about. When it comes to the point where the hierarchy, a top-down type decision-making comes along, they really don't know what's happening on a local level. We have 72 counties, and we have 72 different needs within those counties. You can't compare Milwaukee, certainly with Bayfield, and you can't compare La Crosse with Marinette County. So each county has to look and say, what are our needs and how are we meeting them? And when you take away that local control, it's a difficult problem. Most of our individuals serving on advisory boards and even on county boards are literally not much more than volunteers. School boards, county boards, city councils, $3,000, $5,000 a year. And basically, most of them are putting in 15 to 20 hours a week. And it's really, in a sense, showing that they really love their communities. And they want them to be the best they can be. And they want them to serve the individuals who live there. I don't think you get that from a statewide perspective. It's not the same kind of ability for citizens to have input.
And you saw that citizen input yesterday. You were in Rice Lake listening to the joint finance hearings for over 8 hours. Were you able to speak on your concerns?
Unfortunately, I couldn't. I had a Human Services Board meeting at 5 o'clock. I went before 8 o'clock, and at about 3:30, quarter to 4, we knew we would have to leave in order that I would come back to Eau Claire. I did leave them my written comments because I thought that possibility might happen. Plus, I left them all of the resolutions that Eau Claire County has passed in regard to their opposition of some of the elements within this budget. I did leave them actually with a note as well, indicating that we're very pleased for the support of the Confluence Project.
What resolutions have you passed dealing with the budget? Last time you mentioned there was one regarding the drug testing mandate. Are there other resolutions that the county board has passed?
Yes, there are. And of course, we have the ADRC one that has gone through. We're having committee right now a resolution to oppose the cuts to the university system. That $300 million cut is going to be tremendously painful to that whole system, including our county extension office. We have an absolutely engaged extension office in our county. And whether it's economic development or it's parenting or it's working with the schools in regard to the nutrition education program, it's extremely effective. And so if we are indeed going to be taking money away from that, we're taking away, I want to say, lifelong learning opportunities for our communities, not counting the fact that our agriculture community is really helped by that passed down research that comes and protects our land, makes our farms more prosperous.
Well, thank you, Colleen. We are out of time already for today. There are so many interesting, impactful issues to discuss as the budget is discussed throughout the state. It sounds like there is a lot of concern about the policies that have been incorporated into that budget, and thank you for sharing your insights as we all try to understand it better.
Thank you for the opportunity.